Hello YouTube, it is John R. Lance, back for part 6 of Dr. Halsey's journal. First entry, July 12th, 2531. Section 3 is using a new generation AI of their own to conduct surveillance and protect their assets. This AI was probably among the batch that the Vice Admiral acquisitioned for missions of grave importance and secrecy. Evidently, one mission specifically protects Oni from me, since its counter-intrusion measures are triggered by my network codes, keystroke, style, and even my voice print. Could clandestinely check this sneak time waster. I'd still be deleted. I'd still be detected. My curiosity is piqued. What are they hiding? Jacob has agreed to take her in. I'll miss her, but it's for the best. A mysterious her. Curiouser and curiouser. January 18th, 2532. Several Spartan 2 augmentation chemical precursors have been routed to ONI Section 3 laboratories on Agolis, Meridian, and Ariel, and they're replicating my Spartan 2 program without my guidance? What are they doing with my work? Can't fathom the implications. Tracked all my loose ends, and none of them have been repurposed from what I can tell. The rehabilitated candidates will soon be recommitted. Whatever is going on doesn't appear to involve them. It's perilous for me to maneuver so far outside my charter and the protection of the Vice Admiral. I have enemies who would relish in seeing me charged with espionage or some other trumped-up emergency military regulation to cover what we do. They undoubtedly will think I'll dumb me up in order to preserve my role with an Oni. They underestimate me. I won't let this go. Next entry. And this is interesting. When you get later in the book, the entries get more rapid fire and more, almost sometimes one per page. November 10th, 2533. Third-gen AIs preemptively several newer linkages in an attempt to circumvent their terminal phase, similar to massive crosses of neural linkages that occur with the onset of language comprehension and vocalization in human infants, although in humans the linkage severing eventually ceases. Accelerated link severing leads to increasingly poor choices of which links to cut, i.e., the AIs become so consumed with self-preservation that they ultimately self-terminate. How would that feel when all you are is intellect, to have to destroy what you've spent a lifetime creating? To palliate this frenzied cutting behavior, I've developed a new theoretical architecture which, with 3 AIs arranged in parallel, all decisions would be made by majority vote. If one abstains, the tie resolves randomly. Still need to follow up on reports of nested AI personalities on Harvest before it was lost. That actually connects to the end of the novel Contact Harvest. It'd be an interesting read. I would greatly recommend it. Though this may slow overall processing, I'm confident the AI trio would deconvolute and divide algorithms to compensate. There is also a relatively high probability such refinements could actually accelerate processing. Though you may not see it, there is a sketch here that involved just basically 3 human faces, 1 missing ears, 1 missing eyes, 1 missing a mouth. Basically, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, have no fun. Consensus decisions would also be strictly applied to linkage creation to forge a superior initial neural linkage. Increase to the trio's lifespan is unknown, as simulations can't recreate in vivo artificial intelligence. Keeping this from the other AIs, not exactly a pleasant topic. What other characteristics could emerge from an AI triumvirate? This is purely theoretical. The military currently requires every smart AI for the war effort. I do have AIs at my disposal, only 3. I've taken the precautionary measure of moving candidates to the Sanderson Private Hospital on Beta Hydri 6. I feel unusually protected of them. Paranoia? Pragmatism? And then it shows what seems to be a drawing of 3 AIs. They're all female, and the words written under that is sexual dimorphism. Next entry, December 25th, 2534. Creation of cross-linkages isn't the problem. Increased density of those links is what causes wave function collapse. Things get too tight. What if space weren't a limitation? Undoubtedly, the number of available connections would increase at a geometric rate. I illustrated this for Dr. Forrester by drawing a 2D X with 4 links, and then showing him a 3D sketch with 6, and so on with an increasing hyperdimensions. He said it was a novel fancy. And they actually show kind of an example of how this worked. And at one point it says, I lost him here, with a very advanced sketch. What the good doctor failed to grasp is that although we are limited to 3 dimensions in our 4-dimensional space-time, there remains another space to exploit, slipstream space. A slipspace vessel must be enveloped in a quantum field to squeeze through the other higher dimensions, but outside that field one would have access to the full 11-plus dimensional spacetime predicted by classic string theory, which I consider dubious, by the way. Current experimentation of any exotic matter in this higher dimensional space remains theoretically until technology is invented that enables survival in the raw slipstream. Remote construction possible? Much to ponder. Practical applications and required technology may be decades or centuries distant. AIs in the slipstream. Would there be near limitless cross-connections? FTL processing speeds? What couldn't it do? Are we ready for that? And we get a little diagram of the Mjolnir Mark IV armor. Essentially just the armor that existed before the one we all know from the Halo games. Next entry, January 7th, 2535. At the budget meeting, I reminded the Vice Admiral that continuous upgrades are integral to the Mjolnir system as a pioneering effort intended to shatter technological barriers, a philosophy thought we already agreed on. I was told this is no longer possible. The military now requires a simplified generational system. Mark. To categorize, prioritize, and serialize the project neatly through fiscal year budgets. I will go along with this request to keep the accountants out of my hair and my work, but I'll be damned if I'm going to wait on a breakthrough just to fit their calendars. They'll get their tidy generations of armor on paper, but my Spartans will get the best I can give them. I recognize I'm working with systematic impediments, and here's my preliminary modernization of upgrades from Mjolnir, post-Mark III generation, obviously. These entries can and likely will be modified or reconfigured, as time, budget, and other limitations crop up. Mark IV, Standard Vacuum Survival System, Standard Fusion Power, critical improvement over the fission power source. Radar Sensory Package, Mark V, the one from Halo Combat Evolved and Halo Reach. Smart AI strata to house symbiotic intelligence. Upgrade comlinks, satellite and fleet comm. Passive stealth technologies, active as soon as possible. Full vacuum environmental system. Improved fusion power with overlord capacities, which allows for 3rd generation PZ material system, increased strength and decreased reaction time. Enhanced radar and low light tracking sensory package. Energy shield possible for Mark V? We have no evidence that the early prototypes were useful. Mark VI. Active Stealth Package. Next-gen EVA technology. Possible Covenant-enabled technologies. Energy Shield, Integrated Plasma Energy System, Null Gravity Assist Package, and Gravitonic Weaponry. Very TBD. Modular environmental packages that can be field swapped. Improved anti-plasma shield layers. Biofoam injector, assuming human clinical trials complete. Radar, thermal, and motion tracking sensor packages. Next-gen PZ material system. Competing projects within ONI? Mark VII. Next-gen fusion plasma hybrid technology. Atmospheric insertion systems. Slip-space de-insertion capabilities. Active AI transfer protocols. Limited shaping of energy shield. Partial overlaps, airfoils, etc. Dang, the Mark VII sounds awesome. Wish we could have got that in the games. I've also given the Vice Admiral at his request, the 14 existing variations of Major. And we get just a great batch of diagrams on, shin guards and such. Ooh, and we get a dissection of a needler. No physical, electronic, or radiative connections between control and firing mechanism. What is going on here? Yes, the needler is quite the confusing weapon scientifically, I'd say. Last entry for tonight, or for this part, mind you. November 22nd, 2535. Received the top secret Henchek findings. A Lieutenant Henchek procured a cache of Covenant weapons and miscellaneous artifacts in a recent skirmish in the Indraya asteroid cluster. A UNSC sniper hit a plasma round from some kind of Covenant launcher. This extremely lucky shot detonated the round and destroyed all organic matter within 10 meters. Henchek secured a Pelican full of gear before enemy reinforcements arrived. He later died from radiation poisoning. Their weaponry is astonishing. No instrumentality. None of the surface controls or triggers connects in any way. I recognize the interior workings. Indeed, interior workings itself is a mere conjecture, because all we found inside the weapons are components that we can't begin to understand. These elements are impervious to our scanners, and when physically penetrated, their content self-destructs, in most cases violently. How did the Covenant species build these devices? Why wouldn't there be traces of their production designs buried within their architecture? It makes logical sense that we would see this as we do in our own machines, yet we don't, not a trace. Even more confounding is the core nature of their implements. While we are well aware of their destructive capabilities on a planetary scale, much of their weapon technology seems heavily polarized yet uniformly purposed. Covenant weapons range from being widely obliterative to somewhat inferior to our own ballistic counterparts. It almost seems as though the technology was originally developed for some other purpose or purposes. These things aside, the immediate conclusion is grim and obvious. We are unable to replicate their technology. As I've said before, curiouser and curiouser. Well, that's part 6 of Halsey's journal. I hope you enjoyed the video. This is John L. Lansan. Smoke me a kipper. I'll be back for breakfast.